Yeah, I'm doing the economic assessment for the catchment. We've done, it basically covers the zone economy, which is pretty contiguous with the district, not completely, but pretty contiguous. We've done a lot of research and taken information from a range of sources, and we've also been working over the last year and a bit with a group of farmer stakeholders and with some other people involved to look at what's happening in terms of financial budgets. We're going to update the assessment progressively, so as we get new information in, we'll be changing the numbers that we get in there, and we'll be adding parts to it as new information and new areas get assessed. So, probably not the right heading, but this is just a kind of overview of the economy. The economy's been growing very strongly over the period since the earthquakes. I mean, you've probably all experienced that. There's been a lot of movement into the Waimakariri district, and so construction has been very strong. So that graph up the top there is showing the last 4 years of building consent numbers. I think there were 2 years in there when the Waimakariri district issued the largest or second largest number of consents in the country. So it's, there were significant numbers. In terms of the economy itself, so construction and retail trade have been the two main drivers of the economy. These are employee counts in that table there. Agriculture is also still very significant. It's a number 5 there on the table. And when you look at the water using or the industries that interact with water, agriculture is by and far dominant. It's dominant in terms of takes, both from surface and groundwater. I think stock water is about 60% of surface water takes on its own, and also significant numbers of discharges. But the other major one is urban, particularly residential activity, so takes for drinking water, and discharges for stormwater and other contaminants. There's a number of industrial discharges and takes in there as well, but the overall picture is agriculture, residential, urban are the main water sectors. The other really interesting feature, and again one that you'll be all very familiar with, is just the strong linkages with Christchurch City, which again, as Matt says, makes this quite an unusual economy. So it's got about 50% employment self-sufficiency, so the number of jobs within the district, about 50% of the total number of workers, with the majority of the rest working in the Christchurch City. There's a lot of dependency on Christchurch for shopping, so not so much the kind of day-to-day stuff, the groceries and the books and that sort of thing, but destination shopping, so major items, furniture, cars, and specialty things, which you can't get in there. It's likely that'll change over time as the district grows, and you're able to get more kind of larger retailers and more specialty retailers. But at the moment, the boundaries between Christchurch and Waimak are very porous from an economic sense. So the economic indicators we've developed so far, they will focus on the water using industries, and we've basically just worked on agriculture so far. We've developed a set of financial models of farms with the farmer stakeholders, and we've put that into also developed a regional input-output model that describes the effects of changes as they occur through the regional economy. It's models, so that they're not going to describe everything perfectly. They're intended to give a kind of general indication of how things move with changes and different activities. So just, always a caveat there. We had a lot of discussion within the farmer group about how we're going to deal with the dairy payout. So typically what we do with these budgets is we take 5 years of historical data as a kind of average of what's been happening for current. But obviously with the dairy sector, that's it's very problematic given the dramatic changes that we've had over that time, really high prices and really low prices. So we modelled what we call the low milk price scenario as well. You'll see that in the report. And basically that says $4.50 milk revenue and another 50 cents of other revenue. So $5 a kilo of milk solids total revenue for a dairy farm sustained over a long period. And so we tried to come up with a picture of what the farming sector, not just the dairy farmers, might look like under that scenario. Land use. So the big circle there is dry land, and the blue is sheep and beef. So sheep and beef are very dominant land use, and lifestyle is the other really big. Sorry, this is not dry land. This is total land use. So this is dry land and irrigated. So sheep and beef, the major one, but lifestyle also very significant. So lifestyle is the blue, and this green one is other. So forestry, scrub, water, and just land that's not being used for anything in particular. But when you come to irrigated land use, the dairy and dairy support are basically the majority, over 50% of the irrigated land use. Sheep and beef still important, and other arable and horticulture, much smaller land uses. So the picture is total land use, sheep and beef, and other irrigated dairy support. And this is just a quick graph of a couple of economic indicators. So GDP is a measure of how much value is added in an economy. And so these figures on the left are direct, so what's generated on a business, and then this is flowing throughout the regional economy. The big green ones are dairy, and the red ones are sheep and beef. And over on the right here you have household income, so this is wages and salaries earned. So again, direct on-farm and regional flow on. So if you cast your minds back to that land use picture, you can see that the irrigated land use, which is dominantly dairy, contributes a large part of the contribution from water-using industries to the economy. So just to summarise, this was a very brief overview. The key features of the economy, it's been growing very strongly, dominated by the residential sector and by these linkages with Christchurch City, so the work and the shopping. In terms of water use, agriculture and urban, your major water using sectors, if you like. And the urban probably dominates the discharge side of things with, this is point source discharges, but agriculture, significant in terms of point sources, but also non-point sources, very significant.